In Ghana, politics is a high-stakes game. But behind the headlines and the handshakes, there's always a human cost. In 2016, Ghana witnessed yet another transition of power. After 8 years of governance, voters did what they knew best: hand over power to another political party, as has been the trend since the inception of the Fourth Republic. But beneath the surface of what was described as a peaceful transition, a different story was unfolding.
We've heard of conversion of temporary staff, of political assistants, and some of the staff we took on into permanent public servants. We've heard of award of new contracts after the election results are announced on the 9th of December. We've heard of procurement of sales and national assets also after the results. We do not want to believe that these allegations are true.
Widespread condemnation followed as news of the Mahama administration's last-minute recruitments surfaced. For the spokesperson of the then president-elect, Yaosafo Mafo, these appointments were in contravention of an early agreement made at the Transitions Committee's meeting on December 19, 2016. Then came the shocking news: the revocation of all appointments made after the election results were declared.
And that night I cried. I became mad.
Edwin Afechi was just one amongst many recruits affected by the sudden revocation. After working as a volunteer with the National Service Secretariat for 8 years, his dream of being employed by the service had finally come true after an advertisement for district officer positions had gone viral.
The National Service Secretariat at that time, there was an issue. Remember the 2014 ghost name scandals? So they had to replace all the officers who were affected. So in 2016 February, the first clearance was given for about 35. And then in June, the remaining clearance was given for another 127 for district directors. So in actual fact, it is in October 2016 that the clearance from Ministry of Finance was given. And then the recruitment process started from October. So we went to our interviews around November. I went through about 3 stages before we had our letters in December.
But his employment would be short-lived.
In fact, they were stating various reasons. We don't know up to now which of the reasons they were even sticking to. But according to the withdrawal publication, not letter, withdrawal publication, they claim that the appointments did not follow due process. And that due process is known to them alone.
Soon after, Edwin became the latest victim of job loss and financial instability. He was utterly shattered.
It was a great shock because in my case, for instance, having been a volunteer for about 8 years, waiting for that opportunity to come, and it has come. Then less than 3 months, you are being told that no, you will not take it. It shook me a lot. It's like getting to heaven and then being returned to hell. It was not easy. Because at that time, you don't even know where you will move to next, how your family is going to survive. Because it's like it has cut off everything. You don't have any backup anywhere. The moment it happened, you have to go away. And at that time, when it happened like that, the new government will see you as enemy. My wife even confessed to me that at that point she felt it was not worth it. She wanted to divorce.
The trauma of job loss can be debilitating, with many experiencing rejection and frustration. Edwin was not alone. Many others found themselves caught in the same predicament. John Indebugri left his lucrative private sector job to join the public sector for the very first time. But his decision would soon become his biggest regret.
Sometime, I think around November 14th, an email was sent to me to appear for interview, which they call assessment at the GCB training school at Dongwa. After the interview, then I received a call that I was successful in the interview, so I should come for my appointment letter. And that was in December. I read and saw a press release by one Yusuf Mustafa saying that all appointments had been withdrawn with immediate effect. They said all appointments dated 15th are withdrawn immediately. Mine was 12th. Still, they said I was affected.
For John, he didn't just lose one job. he lost 2, bringing him to a breaking point.
In fact, at the time, I had 3 kids at the time, and they were all of school-going age. And what happened was that when I got this appointment, I informed my immediate boss in the private sector that I had gotten some job. So once I told my boss I had gotten some job and I wanted to move, they had also prepared for my replacement. So I lost that job as well. And I must indicate that was the time I had also just finished LLB. And it took me, it was really a hell for me to struggle all the way. It wasn't easy. It really affected me and my family.
Edwin and John were 2 amongst many recruits who were laid off over claims of improper procedure. Sadly, the attempts in court proved futile. Fast forward to 2024, and history is repeating itself.
During the transition team meetings, we called on government at that time not to carry out those recruitments. And we were told in the face that they will carry out the recruitments. And we made it clear to them that if you carry out the recruitments, we will reverse the recruitments.
The Chief of Staff's directive to lay off public sector employees appointed after December 7, 2024 has sparked outrage. For the government, the decision was made due to lack of proper recruitment procedure.
There must be fairness in the way that this is done. The way that the recruitments were done showed clearly that there was a certain effort to railroad party supporters into the civil and public service just because elections had been conducted, the MPP had lost and they were leaving.
As expected, the opposition, the New Patriotic Party, has condemned the directive, calling it unlawful.
The ordinary Ghanaian has a legitimate expectation that upon receiving an appointment letter, until he does something wrong or does anything against the company rules and regulations, he's supposed to remain in the employ of that institution. And today, they are being given letters. Go home. Meet the Kukuna government. Employ the people back.
And for those affected, the struggle feels all too familiar.
Some of us, we've moved from our various places to our post-rented rooms, and we are in the classrooms teaching. And our GS are saying they have revoked our appointments. We can't accept that.
There are also claims of political victimization, with some saying their contracts were terminated on partisan grounds. Richard Techi Mensah's contract with the NPRA was terminated after nearly 2 years of work.
All this while, I've been doing my work diligently. No reports of as such on me. I've never faced any disciplinary procedure for an adverse findings to be made against me. All that I saw was that 3 days ago, I had a letter in my mail communicating to me the termination of my appointment with the NPRA. All that I see is sheer political witch hunting.
Clearly, while both parties are engaging in a back and forth over who is right or wrong, the ordinary Ghanaian citizens remain at the receiving end. So what is the way forward?
In the current transitional law, 6 months into election, those office and duty bearers must write their handing over notes. So it implies that if 6 months into it, are there indications in the handing over notes that we started employing some people X number of years or months ago, it's incomplete, it's at these various stages. So when you come, go ahead and see those that you think are good for your purpose and employ them. Or we started, we've not completed, so we are putting it on hold. When you come, examine it to see. How come that they have to do it from the 7th of December, claiming that they are still in office? It does not make economic sense.
The revocation of public service recruitment during transition periods is a perennial issue that requires national direction. Until then, the citizens continue to bear the brunt. Judith Brown, TV3 News.